Our interviews on Indiana in the Morning presented by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Last night, the Purchase Line School Board held their Committee of the Whole reorganization meeting, and to discuss some of the things that went on during that meeting and other events going on at the Purchase Line School District, I'm joined by the superintendent of the Purchase Line School District, Shawn Ford. Shawn, good to have you on board with us this morning here on Indiana in the Morning.
Yeah, good morning, Josh. It's good to be here this morning.
How are things over at Purchase Line? I understand that things are trying to navigate the best way you can during this COVID-19 pandemic. I believe the district is continuing with virtual learning, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, Josh. Actually, we are back in our hybrid. We're in a hybrid model.
My mistake. I apologize.
In school instruction. We started that yesterday, and so we actually have various models. But we have some students in 2 days a week, and we have some students in 4 days a week. But we started that yesterday.
So I'm assuming so far so good then.
So far so good. Every day I said our planning. I shared with our community last week that we have to be prepared to pivot quickly based upon the new guidelines that came out there before Thanksgiving with the attestation form. So it's really a day-to-day, a week-by-week basis where we look at our case count, we look at, and then we make decisions. Like I said, I look at the data every day, every week, and then we make a decision and try to inform everybody as best we can under the quickly changing circumstances.
That attestation form, I believe, was discussed last night at the Committee of the Whole meeting, and you were just giving it some more thorough explanation, I believe, to the community at large.
Yes. We just wanted to inform our community that we had checked the box on there that we were going to return to in-school instruction, and by doing so, we adhered to the face mask guidelines, and we adhered to the case count guidelines put out by the Department of Health. From
what you've been seeing so far, I'm assuming then that the students and the teaching staff and everybody else who works up at Purchase Line have been able to follow that pretty closely then.
We're doing a good job of following that. People are really wearing their mask well, and we put some other mitigation plans in place. For instance, we hold all of our meetings now virtually. We've asked everyone to stay in their own work area. So we really are trying to best, have the mitigation strategies in place in addition to the mask order. We've achieved at the elementary school, we can achieve full social distancing in all the classrooms, and at the high school level, we're well over 96% of the social distancing. So we've gone to great lengths to try to get as creative as possible to bring our students back safely, keep our staff safe, and use all the mitigation efforts that we can to do so.
Excellent. One of the other topics that was discussed, at least on the agenda last night, was the budget for the 2021-22 school year. I know we haven't even ended 2020's calendar year yet, but I know that the board is thinking about it. And you're looking at approving a resolution. I think the board's looking at approving the resolution that would not increase taxes above the state-mandated limits once again. So for Purchase Line, what does that mean?
So I think the number we're looking at is that little over 4%, and we'll be discussing that more in greater detail on Monday. We have our first finance meeting where Mrs. Romania will go over that more thoroughly with the board. We begin that meeting at 6:00, and just to begin those talks and processes right now. And yes, it is a challenge. We're still in the midst of dealing with this, and that's what I shared with the board last night. Now we have to be ready to begin talking budget here next week.
So it's going to be a long process, but we're right now just at the start of it.
Just at the very beginning. We've put our internal, we're starting our internal process here, looking at our budget internally. Those will all be due in January, and so just at the very start of it. Yes.
I did get to hear you also mention some of the things in your report about some of the goals that you have coming up as far as some of the things that maybe you'd like to see turn more technological? Like I believe one of them, and you can correct me if I misheard this, but as I understand it, that you want to have some of the board members have Chromebooks as well?
One of the things is we're looking to do more virtually, and that includes maybe slowly transitioning even the board over to online agendas, online documents.
Oh,
we mail those out, and so even when we return to in person after COVID, utilizing like Chromebooks at each board member's seat.
oh, okay.
So, yeah, so we're looking at. We're expecting really every student now has a Chromebook. Every staff member has a device of some sort, and so that's just the world we live in. And so I'm asking the board to be part of that also.
What was their reaction to that last night?
Good. I think for the most part, our board is there was positive reaction to that. And naturally, we still have some of those issues with connectivity, even affects our board members. And in those situations, we will continue to, mail out information to them in the best way possible. So we have to be cognizant here, especially when we're doing virtual meetings, of who can and who cannot do that, because, we still have those issues.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong as well. I believe Purchase Line was the recipient recently of some mobile hotspots from T-Mobile.
Yes, we're excited about that. We actually started distributing those yesterday.
Excellent.
Already got some reports in this morning that parents called in and just thanking us and saying they seem to work very well. And so, we have a number of kids in full remote learning still who've made that choice, and so to get that out to them is very, very helpful. And we're already getting, like I said, some positive reports on that this morning.
So distribution of those hotspots is going to continue then?
Yeah, we actually started yesterday. I believe most of them went out, and we'll continue that, here this week to try to get all those distributed out into the community.
We're talking with Shawn Ford, Superintendent of the Purchase Line School District here on Indiana in the Morning, about some of the things going on at Purchase Line. One of the other things that I had heard, another goal that you had mentioned, was, again, turning something digital. I believe this is the parents' newsletter that gets sent home, the liner, I believe?
Yes, so we've talked about we send a newsletter home. It's quarterly in nature, and we kind of want to transition, but we also want to be very cognizant of still sending that out, the traditional mail way to those folks who would prefer that. And so we're going to that'll probably be a transition that takes a while. We'll do a combination of both, but again, just trying to move into that virtual world that we live in, and including things like the newsletter. I know our students put out their newspaper this year online. Very impressed with that. I enjoyed reading that, and so yes. But we're going to definitely do a combination. We want to be cognizant of the folks who don't have that ability and who really enjoy reading the newsletter, seeing the calendar. Once we get back post-COVID, when we get back to having events at the school, we want to make sure that people are aware of those are going on.
We were talking with the principal of the Indiana Junior High School in our last hour, and he was talking about how athletics have started to resume practices. Has that been the case up at Purchase Line?
Started last night. That was our first practice last night, and so we began last night, we began with we're wearing masks. All the athletes will be wearing masks, coaches, everyone will be wearing masks.
Excellent. Let's talk about some of the things that are coming up down the road for the school district as the holidays get closer.
Basically not a whole lot. We have some internal things. The teachers will be working, with their classes and that, but there's not a whole lot going on as far as there's no concerts this year or anything like that. I think we're working on some virtual concerts and things like that, but unfortunately, that's COVID's hit our activity schedule at the holidays, pretty hard. We usually have a pretty robust schedule here at the holidays.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, given the circumstances, we're doing as much as we can in virtually, but not everything can be done virtually.
Oh, that's understandable. But again, it's kind of the case with just about every school district this year. Try to do what you can through virtual means or socially distant means, and whatever can't be done, well, maybe that can be held off until next year, whenever things are hopefully back to some semblance of normal.
And that's the really hard part. The students have worked hard, and they, even our seniors, our upperclassmen, they worked hard for things, and we just hate the fact that we can't honor them for the hard work they've done, and we're trying to come up with ways, and then we'll have an activity plan, and then something will happen. We'll have some COVID situations that we'll have to deal with, and then we have to postpone and look down the road for that. And so we're trying to balance, like, what can we do virtually to still make sure we're honoring our students, and having their families be part of that. And can we do that virtually, or do we need to postpone and wait till we can do that more in person? And those are the decision making that goes on more at the school level than the district level. But that's just a balancing act we're all living right now. Definitely.
So the board will have their regular voting meeting coming up, I'm assuming, next week or 2 weeks from now, I believe?
That next Monday is the regular voting meeting, and then we will have any meetings after that we need to, based on changing conditions or circumstances that come up. We had to do that a couple times in November, as new guidelines come out, new mandates come out, new circumstances come up. We've had those meetings as needed.
All right. Well, everything's in a state of flux, but you know what? We're glad that we have the people like you, the superintendent, the school board members, and the educators that are out there ready to take care of the kids and give them the education that they so richly need and deserve.
Yeah, and I'll say that, I appreciate working with the other superintendents. We're very close here in Indiana County. We work together. All the school board members, I don't think they probably signed up to be a school board member and realized they'd be going through a pandemic like this. And it is very difficult. The decision making, we really weigh that, and it's difficult. We're trying to do the right thing, and so I just give kudos to all the school board members out there, the other superintendents, our teachers, everyone, our community. So I'm very appreciative of Purchase Line, our community, our staff, and our clear up to the school board.
Shawn Ford, Superintendent of Purchase Line School District, thank you very much for joining us this morning here on Indiana in the Morning. All the best to everybody in the district, and if we don't get to talk to you before then, we wish you all a happy holiday.
Happy holiday to you, too. Thanks, Josh, for having me on.
Thanks again. Shawn Ford, Superintendent, Purchase Line School District, joining us this morning on Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank.